So, what I was saying, because we just had to do a little quick take too.
Facts.
You know, equipment, electronics is how it be sometimes. This is why we're vigilant. I haven't been here in a while, so I just want to, do the little shout out to Cascadia. Shout out to Cascadia Blooms. You guys can go to CascadiaBlooms.com. You can get premium CBD products. We're talking about edibles. We're talking about pre-rolls. We're talking about flowers. We're talking about tinctures. They're adding new products constantly. In our opinion, this is the Apple of CBD.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if you get it, you'll understand.
Yeah,
if you get it, you'll understand. Again, we have our flowers here. We have the pre-rolls.
They come in 5 in a pack. Those are dope.
You have the tinctures. We have options for you, all right?
Man, choose your flavor.
And we have Jameson to sip on.
Absolutely. I'm about to bleep that out, but we are sipping, you know.
But we are sipping.
Yeah.
Please get in contact with us. No, I'm definitely gonna ask them one of these days.
Word.
I'm gonna definitely get that shit because Post Malone, he has the Bud Light. That's his,
Word. Yeah. No, we definitely need that Post Malone,
man,
Jameson.
for sure.
Yeah, shoot him just a little DM or something like that.
Yeah, have to.
Shoot him a little DM.
No, we gotta make a spectacle out of it. I mean, we gotta let them know we serious.
We're here.
Yeah, no, we're gonna make
We're here to support.
No,
We're
we're
here
here to support. You feel me? But no, we are here for a reason. Again, we're continuing our guest journey here on the podcast. Again, highlighting local people here in Pittsburgh that are trying to make an impact on the community, that are doing something dope or just have a voice and have something to say. So with that being said, we'd like to introduce Chris Eisel here to the podcast.
How's it going, guys? Thank you guys very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Man.
Of course.
Really appreciate the hospitality.
We tried this before, but me and Mike just nerded out on you pretty much. And it didn't really, leave too much room for you, know what I mean? So had to
Well, at the end of the day, it was cool to see you guys go at it, because normally whenever, growing up with Mike or arguing with him about something about music, you have no table. At least someone else had a table, so I can observe from a distance, respectfully.
Sure. And we want to get that. We want to get that out the way too. Right now, I grew up with Chris. This is a brother of mine. I love the hell of this kid. Like genuinely, we've been there in each other's lives since he was 3, I was 4 or 5.
Probably my first memory was us racing in my backyard or something like that, man.
Crazy.
Super young. Yep.
So
growing up together.
We're gonna get that out the way now.
Yeah,
all right,
right.
I know this nigga, very deeply, but with that being said, I want to get right into it. First, start out. Where do you train at, and just give days, just explain, what you're gonna be doing with that.
Right. So I'm a personal trainer in the Pittsburgh area. I train right on 504 McNeely Road in Baldwin Township. It's right off the intersection of 51 and Library Road, right around that area. So what I do is, I communicate with my clients based on their specific goals. We come up with a schedule that works best for them. We get them in there for an hour at a time. We start by assessing them. So I break down your movement patterns. Okay, how well are your shoulders moving? How well are your hips moving? How stable are your knees? Stuff like that. So all stuff that I've learned through a personal mentorship that I've recently been doing. Shout out to my man, Dr. Dale Bartek. He's taught me a lot. A lot of stuff that you don't really know is you could get a personal trainer that says, okay, come in here, let's do squats or let's do bench press, but they don't take the time to assess someone's anatomy, somebody's movement deficiencies, and they might miss something crucial that.
And why is that so important? Break that down, just some of the things that you've learned in instance.
So something that I've learned. So there's passive mobility, there's active mobility, there's stability, strength. All of that plays a role. So there's a saying that I've learned. Just make sure I'm not on mute here. There's a saying that I've learned is that mobility without strength is a liability. Strength without mobility is a fallacy. So basically what that means
that's a bar.
Is
That's kind of crazy.
I'm really strong bench pressing from here up, but as soon as I get down here, I can't do it. I might be the strongest guy in the world from here to here, But if I don't have the mobility to go to a full range of motion, how strong am I really? You know, it's a fallacy. It's not true strength. And then mobility without strength, on the other hand, if I can move all around, but I have no control and no motor control, no strength to protect, you know, my very weak joints, such as like your shoulder, you know, your hips pretty strong, but regardless, you know, if you don't have the strength to control that mobility, then you're setting yourself up to get injured because your body can't protect you, especially if you're an athlete. You know, that's what I specialize in. I specialize in athletes. You guys know, you know, more than anything, both avid sports fans, both probably played sports growing up and everything. I know you obviously did.
I was a prodigy, but
but
I guess you just retired from it.
yeah,
We'll get into that later though.
Yeah, facts.
But you know, you're moving around, you're jumping around, you're putting your body through a lot of stress. If you don't have the strength to handle that, and your body's moving all around, then you know you're gonna eventually get injured. And at that point, it doesn't matter how strong you are. If you're injured, and you can't play. Doesn't matter how good you are. If you're injured, you know you're done for. No one's gonna be able to see you. So.
Have you taken some of this knowledge to a client that you like recently had?
Yeah.
And noticed, and like, how do you see the responsiveness from them, like as you're breaking this down?
So it's something that really helps me out to see, because everybody's going to have some type of movement deficiency, whether they're tight in a certain area. Okay, then we got to reduce the tightness in that certain area. You know, if they don't have a range of motion or they can't control a range of motion, okay, now we know that we have to implement corrective exercises in order to correct that dysfunction before we can move forward. Let's say for example, I have a client whose goal is to squat 300 pounds, but they can't put their hip into external rotation well enough in order to handle the load of 300 pounds. All right, then that's what we got to do first. We have to fix some mobility issues, some stability issues, so that way their body is resilient enough to handle a load like 300 pounds. Now, obviously, you know, just because we fix mobility issues and stability issues, you can't, you know, you're not just gonna squat 300 pounds if you've never done it before. But that's whenever, but that's whenever you can start increasing the load. Okay, you know, we've reduced these dysfunctions, we've corrected a lot. I feel comfortable with your form in order to, you know, put you under a load. Okay, now let's create a program. Let's create some program. Let's do some periodization.
So how do you break that down to them for them to trust the process? Because you know a lot of people, they want instant results. So how do you get them to believe in this process?
A lot of people who come to do personal training understand. That's something that we go over, you know, from day one, is that, you know, you're not going to wake up 2 weeks from now and be a changed person. For as much time as you put in with me, you have to put even more time into yourself outside of the gym. You gotta sleep right, you gotta eat right, you know what I mean? You gotta eliminate some factors of your lifestyle that got you to where you are. Now, if you're an athlete seeking personal training, that's a little bit different, because, you know, they're looking for long-term, like, sports performance. You know what I mean? So they understand that, you know, if they're 15, they're not going to be a professional athlete in the next year, 2 years, even 3, 4, 5 years. You know what I mean? They understand it's going to take a while. For let's say, you know, a middle-aged woman who wants to lose 20 pounds, that's a little bit different story. Everyone wants to get rich quick. Everyone wants to lose 20 pounds quick. Everyone wants in this world that we're in, everything's instant. So it's a conversation that I have to have. You know, through this business, I've learned a lot about different personality types and how to talk to people, and it's something that I'm comfortable getting my point across, you know, and they just have to trust it. I tell them they have to trust it. If, you know, that's the reason they came and sought out personal training, is because they didn't know how to do it on their own.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those things we talk about, and I just relay that information that I have, and you know, I remind them, if they stay consistent, consistency is the most important thing. If they stay consistent, it doesn't matter how long those results take, they're gonna come. Everyone, you know, progresses differently. Some people take a little bit longer. Some people, they start dropping pounds right away based on, the other lifestyle choices that they decide to make.
How do you handle stubborn clients? Clients are just kind of set in their ways. Do you come across that?
Fortunately for me, I've been very lucky in that most of my clients are very open-minded and they're very responsive to the things that I tell them. I think I relay enough information to them that's palatable for them. I don't say, I don't use big words that they can't understand and try and frustrate them. I try to make it as simple as possible. For somebody who, the farther you go down the line of a novice in the weight room, the more simple you make your program. If somebody who's pretty advanced in the weight room, you give them a program, normally they understand what you're trying to do and they can see it, and then over the weeks they start seeing results, and once the results happen, it speaks for themselves, and they come back.
It becomes a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I was gonna say, what's the age range of who you your current clientele?
Right now, I got people from 14, 15 years old to 48. I have a woman who trains with me who has MS, so obviously her goals are going to be different than 27-year-old dude who wants to bench 300 pounds.
So what are her goals, and how do you mentally separate? Okay, I have this woman who has MS. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How do you separate that from this person who comes in day one? I want to bench 400. You know what I'm like, yeah. I mean, how are you mentally separating those two?
So the biggest thing is just by asking them what their specific goals are. So if you ask them what your specific goal is, in her case, her goal is to limit muscle atrophy. So keep her muscles as strong as possible. And then just, move around and keep moving, and, because whenever you have something like MS, normally, if you sit around, you don't remain active, that's whenever the disease starts to kind of come on a little bit faster. So if you can limit that muscle atrophy, then that's the biggest thing. So if someone like her, she's gonna stay in the relative area of just general physical, activity, keeping our muscles as strong as possible. We're not gonna be doing trying to get her to max out or anything like that. Just trying to stay within a nice set to rep range that's gonna challenge her, but also not hurt her at the same time. You know what I mean?
Did this force you to research MS itself?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It forced me to research how to train around MS. That's something that I could get a little bit more, self-research.
But in my case, I understand to a basic knowledge that, your muscles atrophy, the myelin sheath in your nerves and your neuromuscular junctions kind of they taper away, kind of like a rope that's fraying. You kind of lose that mind-muscle control. So they have a lot of balance issues, like weakness, general fatigue. So I know enough basic information about it to understand how to program around that.
Yeah.
And what I feel are going to be the most beneficial exercises for her to remain functional.
Yeah.
The people that you don't train. So if I'm not training an athlete, I'm not necessarily trying to train someone to be the most bulky, strongest, biggest person in the world. I'm trying to train people to remain functional for as long as they possibly can. You think about normal things we do, walking up the steps, getting out of a chair. Mm-hmm. Everything requires some sort of muscular strength and muscular power. So people tend to think, if you're in the weight room, you're trying to just lift heavy weights and be strong and yada, yada, yada. That's all well and good, but you want to, keep the longevity of your independence too. You want to remain an independent person for as long as we possibly can. Whenever you start losing that independence, you can't get up out of a chair, you can't walk up the steps. That's whenever, no one wants that.
So what do I know results look different for everybody. So and like you can't necessarily like see all of them. So like for anyone that may be on like a fitness journey or like trying to like do their thing, like what are some of the results that that you don't see like up front as far as like like your muscles like getting bigger, like the six pack showing up? Like
The biggest thing is just probably self-confidence, and people start to feel a little bit more well, if they stay consistent, I feel like it teaches discipline
for sure, yeah.
really well, because with something like fitness, discipline is way greater than motivation.
Yeah.
How many people are motivated on January 1st?
Everyone in the world, pretty much.
so
Like,
Everyone. Gym memberships.
Yeah.
Gym,
It should be a national holiday that's not called New Year's Eve.
Dead ass.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like walking the treadmill for 20 minutes.
Everyone's motivated on January 1st.
For sure.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks later, you start to see less and less people in the gym. People get unmotivated. You know what I mean? That's whenever discipline needs to kick in.
Right.
That's whenever you're going to see results, is whenever you don't want to go to the gym.
For sure.
I have a lot of clients who, as soon as they show up, they're like, I was going to text you and say, I was going to come up with an excuse to not go, but then I realized I should go. And also I was going to get on their ass if they didn't. But it's true. It's whenever you don't want to go to the gym is whenever
when
you
it
need
kicks
to
in.
go.
So how do you balance that? Like, how do you balance wanting to be like pulling up to their house, putting a bag over their head, kidnap them, take them to the gym? Yeah, I mean, and then just being nicely, or the other end of the spectrum, like, oh, it's okay, next time. What is your balance for that?
It depends. If they're an athlete and it's pretty obvious that they're making some type of excuse up. I've been there. I've been the person who's
the
making
athlete excuses,
up.
right.
When you're a younger dude, you might want to go hang out with your friends. You might want to go hang out with a girl. Yada yada yada. I'm usually a little bit harder on athletes like that, because if you want to be an elite athlete, you need to be doing it every day.
Yeah, that's a fact.
You need to sacrifice.
No room for the bullshit.
You need to sacrifice things, and there's no other way to say it. And I want to train elite athletes. I want to create elite athletes. So I'm going to be a little bit more hard on someone, someone who's a mother who has a family to take care of and isn't feeling well.
Leave the kid in the parking lot.
Yeah,
come to the fucking train.
If it happens every once in a while, what am I going to do? I'm not going to give someone a hard time about that.
Facts.
But whenever it starts becoming, a routine, whenever it starts becoming a habit, that's whenever I'm like, okay, you wanted to do this for a reason. I wouldn't be doing my job if I would let you slide every single time.
Facts.
Every once in a while,
life happens, right? Yeah, exactly.
Shit happens. I'm not going to give anyone a hard time for, being upfront and honest and saying, hey, I can't make it.
Yeah. So, so in your perspective or opinion, like, because you said you want to train elite athletes, what would you say goes into that?
In terms of training?
In terms of training, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of like, what you have to put into it, from your side and then even just from the athlete side.
Well, if you want to be an elite athlete, you have to train hard. At least probably I would say four times a week.
Yeah.
You need to have, you don't need to be on a diet, but you need to eat pretty well.
Facts.
Because what you put into your body is what you put out. Now, there's always anomalies. There's always outliers. A kid who I went to college with, and if he ever watches this, I'm talking about you, TJ. This kid never ate a vegetable in his life. Lived on pudding and ice cream and French fries and tater tots.
Jump through the roof though.
Baseball
strongest dude I've ever met.
Right.
Like through absolute. One of the hardest throwers I've ever seen.
The exception, not the rule.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, just an absolute absolute physical specimen.
Yeah, right.
But he did put in work too.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say that he didn't. He just didn't have like the diet part of it.
For sure.
But that's generally, if you want to be an elite athlete, that goes into it. That's very important. Is your diet. Sleep is very important. You got to get 8 to 9 hours if you're a high school, college athlete. Now, I know it's easier said than done with the sleep thing, but it's important.
Bro,
It is important.
Especially whenever you're in that high school age with the video games, man.
Video games,
you know how we were.
whatever.
I think
texting.
And
You know what I mean?
Comes down to the
don't get me wrong.
sacrifices that you were
I'm
talking
not
about.
trying to sound like, a boomer here talking
right.
about the video games, because we all
Exactly.
play
Yeah,
video
exactly.
games.
Yeah.
But the kids nowadays, man, are just, they're playing them way too young.
Yeah.
Like way too young.
Yeah.
And they're sitting on them.
I'm like, they just
Whenever we were super young, we were playing together at someone's house.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that we really had.
It was games that didn't require you to genuinely train for it, because they're now becoming sports.
That's a good
Right.
Like
yeah.
esports is now becoming a whole new
It
thing.
is.
That's a very good point.
And where like they're literally like
you really
you're
have to
talking about
train
this
for
consistently
this shit.
training.
Like
You know
Fortnite,
what?
you can't just
Yeah.
hop on Fortnite.
yeah.
Right.
You'll get
No.
smoked
No,
by
yeah.
some like
Rocket League.
11-year-old in
Yeah,
Idaho.
Rocket League.
You know what I
That's
mean?
the game
Like,
I play.
Yeah, he has put hours. Like I mean, you know me, like I love
Facts,
Rocket League. You know what I
yeah.
mean, but he's really challenged himself to get to some of the higher
I'm
tiers,
trash
which
at
require a
Rocket
different
League.
skill level,
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
which require practice and time.
If you are a successful esports player, I give you nothing but credit.
Sorry.
You know
Shit
what I
is
mean? If that's
difficult,
something
man,
that
yeah.
you want to, I'm not sitting here saying that video games are bad or anything
Yeah.
like that. But for someone who's an athlete who is staying up all night playing them rather than getting their 8 to 10 hours of sleep, it's only going to hinder your performance at the sport that you're actually pursuing. Now, if you want to pursue an esports career, by all means, do what you got to do to get there. I don't know if I could train you to be an esports player.
right.
Yeah.
But
what you can do is build habit.
yeah,
What you can do is build habit, because
Yeah.
it sounds like a large bulk of your job is just trying to create a habit for somebody to stay in.
Right.
And you can translate that to anything in your life.
right.
So you know what I mean, if
100%.
it sounds like if you're someone that's not really like you're not trying to be an athlete, you know what I mean, not trying to go somewhere to be an athlete, and you're just trying to get your body right, man, and you want to be an esports athlete off of you training them,
You
that
have no
motherfucker will
life.
go back and
Yeah,
he'll go do his builds for
Uh-huh.
2 hours and then get into his games and everything. I think that's a dope thing about what you do. You know what I mean,
Right.
is you're just creating these habits for people in their life.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times people, they have the capability. They don't even really need me physically. But what they need is somebody to go to,
Facts.
tell them what to do, and watch them do it, and makes, it's really easy whenever I tell someone to do 4 sets of something. After that third set, if they don't have me there, it's real easy to be like, all right, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Fuck the fourth
I'm
set.
done with
right,
that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's-
Yeah, facts.
You'd be surprised at how
1000%,
hard
1000%.
going from 3 sets to 4 sets actually is.
I
'Cause
know,
you're-
yeah. I've been there
You're
for
burn
sure.
out, yeah. You're burnt out by the end of the third one. You're like, man, fuck that.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean? I don't want to do 4 sets.
Right.
You know,
But-
we do that so much in life. You know what I mean, we get to
Word
that
up.
Cut
4th
corners.
set.
Cut
That's
corners.
yeah, that shit must be like a like a little metaphor you build up. You know what I mean? The 4th set. It's that 4th set, and what's
Fourth
gonna
set,
push you
fourth
to do
quarter.
that? Yeah, that 4th quarter.
Fourth
the 4th
quarter,
set, you know
bro.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what separates.
Do you
them.
have you have the 5-point lead? Do you close out or do you ease off the gas? Like,
Right.
just because you have the lead, like,
Right.
for sure.
No, it is. It's cliche, but whenever people say, one more rep, one more this, one more that, it makes a difference. It does in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So just personally speaking, right? Like, I've tried to, I'm trying to build some sort of muscle to me, right? And just throughout my research in that, I've just realized that you have to eat a lot. I didn't realize how much of a challenge that is, or like how much of you have to just really be conscious. And like, it sounds easy. Oh, eating a lot. Like, I eat every, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like, it's just a matter
eating
of
real food?
real
a lot.
food,
Right?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, man, I
right.
fucked up a bag of chips before.
you feel me? But
Right,
like, you just have to be
right. I can
eat
conscious.
it.
Like,
Right.
eating properly and eating the right amount is very challenging. So, like, I mean, just for anyone of your clients that have had those goals or wanted to do that, how do you go about that? Like, it's just like I just found it like more challenging than I ever thought it would be.
in
I would-
general nutrition, like how do you?
Word up.
And you're not there. You know what I mean?
So if we're talking really general,
Yeah.
just about eating right, I, lean protein, chicken breast, just anything that's like, 93.7 ground
Beef,
ground
yeah.
beef, you know what I
Facts,
mean?
right.
Something that's not as fatty. Some like complex carbohydrates, so like, wheat bread, brown rice,
Right.
vegetables have really good complex carbs, and fruit. a lot of times people can meet their protein and carbohydrate requirements for the day, but they don't end up meeting like their vitamin and mineral requirements through fruit and vegetables. Okay. So in a general sense, I just tell people start adding 1 serving of fruit and 1 serving of vegetables to almost every meal. Now the fruit's a little bit different. I am an advocate for adding vegetables to every meal. You know, spinach, kale, your dark leafy greens, those are like your power foods when it comes to vegetables. But really with anything, you know, just add some type of vegetable. Start adding that to every meal. Now, fruit's a little bit different because fruit is really high in sugar, like simple sugars. So it's probably maybe not best to like eat a lot of fruit late at night.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
I'm not going to sit here and say it's horrible. Yeah, I'd rather you eat some fruit late at night than
facts. Then like
chips
then like
chips.
or like a cookie or like some shit
right,
like
right. But yeah, it does have it will spike your sugar intake.
Interesting. Okay.
Whenever you eat it, so I like to really eat fruit like in the morning and then throughout the day, keep your energy levels up.
Yeah.
How many meals are we talking?
Word up. Yeah. Facts.
Now, if you're trying to put on weight, let's say it's tough. I mean, it's very specific to your body weight and just your body composition overall.
So to that, how does someone find that out?
You can do like BMI calculations. You can do like skin fold tests to show like your body fat percentage. And then there's other things that you can do. You can download like nutrition apps, and there's other things that you can do.
Skinful test might make motherfuckers cry though.
So like for your body, like what foods have you found that respond for you specifically?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Fuck
Chicken
yeah.
and rice. Chicken and rice. Chicken and rice.
Yeah, chicken and rice. Chicken and rice. When I'm done with the chicken, I get the rice. When I'm done with the rice, I get the chicken.
This thing is stupid, right?
I mean, I don't even taste it anymore. I got to start throwing cayenne pepper on it and hot sauce and everything, man.
Should make you feel
it's just
something.
so much. But yeah, like lean protein, and then I like to throw. This is a really easy way to get fruits and vegetables into your diet. Is start mixing them into a smoothie. Throw some spinach into the blender, throw some blueberries, some strawberries, a banana, whatever you want to do. Throw it into a blender.
Yeah.
Throw some milk or water, whatever you prefer in there. Blend it up. There you go. You got a serving of fruit. You got a serving of vegetables. All it just in a drink. You know what I mean?
You don't count your macros, right?
No, I don't. I mean,
Really? Okay.
for people who are really specific and really trying to find a certain thing, it's smart to do that. It's definitely important, and I don't knock anyone for doing that. For me, though, it just seems like too much of a hassle. I'm happy where I'm at, body composition wise. That I feel like if I want to slim down, I'll just
cut back on
add a
some
little,
shit.
cut back on maybe some carbs.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Or maybe I'll start training a little bit more like cardio.
Facts.
But yeah, like I think it's just too much. I think it's too unsustainable for me personally.
Okay.
To have to count my macros every time. Sometimes I just like throwing chicken and rice and just whatever into the thing.
Facts.
I know my body well enough. Now, some people who are very new to or trying to really overhaul their eating habits, that might be something that's really helpful for them.
Yeah.
Because then it's something tangible right in front of them that they can see. It's like, okay, this is how many calories this is.
I do like I'm like a huge macro counter.
And I think it's great if you do. Just for me, I just don't find it. For athletes, now if you're like a bodybuilder or really trying to slim down or something, yeah, I think it's good for athletes. Like especially young athletes, like dude, just eat a shit ton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The good shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Like good lean protein, vegetables, fruit. But just eat a lot of it.
So to cap off, let's give you the generic, Brady Belichick question, the generic Jordan LeBron question. What % of just fitness is the food, and what % is the fitness? The actual physical fitness.
Let's talk about, all right. What's the goal here? What is our client trying to achieve?
So my goal is to lose weight.
Lose weight, I would say nutrition is 90% of it.
Yeah, like I agree.
90%.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
85% is nutrition.
Now I'm trying to get bulky.
Nutrition still, right?
Still.
Yeah, right.
You're still saying that.
At least
okay.
65, 70%.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's so important.
Because I think that's like the miscommunication.
Yeah,
like, among,
honestly,
like,
man,
us
because like,
laymen's, you know what I mean?
for sure. Like, because like
people,
even
people go to the gym and just eat whatever.
no, yeah, I mean like, as far as me, like I really like really because for a majority of my life, I never really went to the gym, and like when I started like kind of getting like conscious of like what I was eating, I didn't go to the gym. Like all I did was calorie counting. So like I really only just really started working out in like the past year, and it's like a lot of the results that I've seen results from going to the gym for sure. Like like absolutely, but like the bulk of it did come from like what I was eating. Like it just I just like kind of saw the results that way. So like that's just like kind of like my scope of it. Like
Yeah. What exercising and working out and lifting do is break your body down. So that way it opens up kind of like a window. It's called like your glycemic window to build it back up. So if you're breaking your muscles down, okay, then the food that you eat after is going to be what's building it back up.
facts.
That's what's going
What is
to
that
really
window?
help with muscle.
What is that window?
So it's debated, but generally, within, if you have a high, nutrient dense meal within 2 hours of working out, you should be good. People freak out like, oh, I need to get this much in 20 minutes after.
Yeah,
I
I just downed a protein shake before you even came in. Like
it's not a bad idea to do it right after. And actually, what you should do is maybe within like 30 minutes to an hour, have some type of simple carb and like fast acting protein. So
Give examples of simple carbs.
like a simple carb would be something, like fruit has simple carbs, something that you digest really fast. That's what's simple. That's what simple
Okay.
carbs
gotcha,
mean.
copy. Okay.
So like fruit, like a chocolate milk, like a Greek yogurt, something like
Copy,
that. They all have
okay.
very like simple carbs that's gonna.
Burn quick.
Yeah,
like,
we have.
right.
Our muscles are depleted. They need energy. They need
Right.
substance. You get those simple carbs and protein in real quick. Okay, that's good. Then it's going to start the rebuilding process.
Copy.
And then maybe within the next hour and a half, 2 hours, then you have a really high nutrient dense meal. That's just going to help your body sustain
Right.
that building process. And you're breaking your muscles down so you can build them back up.
What? I mean, because like you said, like you're happy with your body composition for sure. But like, what were your goals when you started?
I was just trying to train to be the best, baseball player I could be.
Okay.
That's my background. I didn't really care. Obviously, I wanted to put on muscle, but I wasn't really caring about, being like super ripped or strong.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to be strong. Don't get me wrong, but it was just it was a byproduct of what I wanted to do. I had to
Facts.
train hard so I could run faster, throw harder.
You didn't care what you look like. You care how you perform.
Right.
Functionality was
right.
your, like, yeah, got
Yeah,
you.
definitely.
Okay.
I wanted to be the best baseball player I could be. And just from training hard, your body responds and you build muscle and you're gonna put on good muscle and, be happy with the way you look, hopefully.
Facts. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to do was just train hard to be the best baseball player I could.
So with that being said, let's take it back. Let's take it back because again, man, I know this man. I
Right.
seen the progression. First off, I mean, when did you know that you were better than most people at baseball? At what age?
That's a fire question. That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to put it like better than other people. I knew that
Right.
I could compete with
Okay.
people who were older than me. So that's kind of where it first started.
So
to
what
answer
age?
that
What age are
question.
we talking about here?
Like 9 or 10 years old, whenever I'm playing up on 8, 9, 10.
What
whenever-
grade? Do you have like a grade in mind?
8 years old, maybe like third
Probably.
grade.
Yeah, so
So like elementary
You're
school,
like in
early,
third-
early,
very early.
them early. Like,
so you would
kids
be in
league?
like third grade playing with like sixth graders.
Yeah, stuff
That's
like
crazy.
that.
Right. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, and it was
That's
just,
wild.
It was just one of those things. It was I didn't choose it. What would happen was my dad would take me to like an older kid practice and just like talk to the
Yeah.
coach and be like
My kid is
can
nice.
I let my kid practice with you guys?
My guy is nice. Just let him
Yeah,
on.
let
Yeah,
him
yeah,
go.
yeah, let him
Let
go.
him
Yeah. Just know.
That's how it kind of happened. And once you start practicing with people who are better than you, you start to
You acquiesce
level out.
to the
Yeah,
right,
start to
right,
level
right,
out.
right,
Okay.
right.
All right. So there's a couple ways I want to take this. All right. So let's hone in now around that like late elementary school, early middle school, because then I'm gonna tell you whenever I started following your athletic career. Okay, as you know, like your brother. I mean, and again, like for context for people, like you were younger than us.
Right.
So you know what I mean. And I also like to hang out with older people and like learn from older people, older people. You know what I mean. So I was really, which I know we've had our own personal conversations about like how I feel sad of how I wasn't fully in the loop with you whenever we were really young. You know what I mean, of what you were doing athletically. But when I started really understanding what my little bro Chris Eisel's doing wasn't baseball. It was football.
Yeah.
Do you remember your years in middle school?
Oh yeah.
Yo, player, please give me some stats. Give me some of these stats of what you were doing in middle school. Because this is when
It sound like the biggest Uncle Rico. ever.
but again, like this athletic career, like this is when I'm like, oh,
Threw it over the mountain, right?
another half, just for context, the other half of it is athletically, I'm doing my own thing in my sport. You know what I mean? I'm doing well. Like within my community, niggas know my name. You know what I mean? So
Your shit ringing off
yeah,
too,
so I'm doing my shit. You know what I mean? So then whenever I hear, oh, yo, your bro Chris is doing some nutty shit here on the football field. What was that like? Go ahead.
That was crazy, man. That was awesome. So I'll bring you back to where 9 years old. That's whenever I first started playing, and I never. I was always timid, always scared.
Playing football, correct?
Yeah, playing
Okay.
football. I was always scared and timid, and then the one time my dad brought me into the backyard, and he was all pissed because, I'm like being scared and all this. So he put on this like Taekwondo headgear and like kick pad.
Put on his old war music.
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger, yeah.
And he had me dress up in all my football stuff, and he made me tackle him for like 2 hours. So
Yeah,
kind of
man.
like, I don't know, that
It's a
moment.
good
It
dad.
kind of
thankful
like,
for it.
It's a good dad
kind of
though.
like,
It's a good dad.
it was one of those times where you go like you're crying and you're so like upset that you get like pissed off and you just start like stop caring about getting hurt and everything like that. So that's kind of how I started like competing in football, and then in the next couple games like that, whenever I was 9, I somehow found my way to be like a starting running back and stuff, and from there I kind of just progressed.
So you were a
Yeah,
running
that was the
back.
position. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So I said, check the stats, nigga.
Wow,
Yeah.
So then-
wow.
7th and 8th grade, that's whenever Baldwin was like, my grade was supposed to be we were supposed to be
Y'all
the
the
ones
chosen
that
ones. Yeah,
changed it around.
right. Y'all the guys.
Baldwin was piss poor at football for decades.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are.
Generations.
Word.
So my 7th grade year,
Generation.
I scored 24 touchdowns in 7 games.
Come on, light
And
vibes.
then
That's
do
light
the
vibes.
math.
That's light
Do
vibes.
the math.
That's a light season. That's light. Like y'all can have
And then
that. Like
I think 8th grade I scored 23. in
light,
seven
have that.
games, so
Keep that. Like, come on.
then
So
ninth
50
grade,
touchdowns in 2 years?
basically.
That's
Is that what we're getting at?
crazy,
Yeah,
though.
when we
Damn.
went 14 and 0, we went 7th grade we went
Oh, I
7
didn't
and
know
0.
that.
8th grade we went 7 and 0.
Oh,
Come
wow.
on
And,
now.
Yep, didn't lose. And then 9th grade, that's whenever it all went. That's whenever it all went downhill, man.
What was it? What
Yeah,
was it?
what
What was the
happened?
change?
I think it's a different culture in Baldwin.
Hmm.
It's a weird. It's
As
a
far
different-
as
it's a
what?
Yeah,
different
nigga,
culture.
speak to me. Let's go. Let's
It's
talk about our culture.
those kids. The kids that go to other schools, they grow up. They all stick together. I feel like Baldwin has a lot of influences around it that take people away from like sports. I feel like Baldwin is, some kids get into this, some kids get into that, some kids go over here, some kids go over there. I know a lot of kids who are gifted athletes who I played with, who in high school they started making the wrong decisions. I feel like it's a very common thing in
Yeah.
our school. And every kid's going to experiment with certain this, certain that, but Baldwin doesn't have enough kids to where if a couple of those good kids do that,
Yeah.
There's
then it
like
goes out the
other
window.
kids to fill in the pocket
Right,
of like those.
right.
Right.
And another
Yeah.
thing is Baldwin had one main middle school. They had one main middle school. That's it. Mount Lebanon, USC, all these places, Peters Township, they have like 2, maybe 3 middle schools that all come together into a high school. So you got kids, you have 3 different full teams coming together. You know, you got one core group of people in Baldwin, and that's not even talking about the kids who end up going to Central Catholic. Yeah. You know, my friend Aaron Matthews, he transferred to Clarendon. He was another gifted athlete that I played with whenever we were in like youth football. And I can't say I blame him just because of like the losing culture at Baldwin, like football wise. You know, if you're a gifted athlete and you have a chance to play Division I football,
facts,
or you know potentially, you're going to go to somewhere where scouts are going to go. You're going to go to the Central Catholics where they have scouts at every practice. You're going to go to the Seton LaSalle's. You're going to go to Clarendon. You know, can't say I blame them. It's just it's a hard culture to get out of because once your high school football team is like losing like that, you know, it's really hard to get people who want to go out for the team anyways, even if they are good.
And we haven't seen like a stud QB come out of Baldwin.
Yeah, like a top.
At least my lifetime.
Is that what y'all
need?
Like
a top recruit.
I mean, if you're in high school or college, it starts with your QB.
Facts.
Can my QB score 20 running touchdowns?
Yeah.
And pass whenever he needs to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in college football and high school football, that's when a running QB can really do what they want to do. You know what I mean? And you really need that. You know what I mean? You really need, at that young of an age, you need that.
Right.
And we haven't had that. And I remember, like, not to name names, but like we had quarterbacks whenever I was there, and you'll know who I'm talking about. Like when I was a senior, he was a sophomore starting. You know what I mean? The quarterback, and he was mainly a thrower. Like he tried to be a traditional like play like Peyton Manning, like that style of quarterback.
Just like real old school QB.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work in high school.
Yeah,
because these receivers, they either can't catch, they don't know routes.
Gotta be a dual threat.
There are NFL athletes who are bad route runners.
Right.
What the fuck what do you think a high school kid's going to look like?
Right.
Especially one that has no aspiration of going anywhere.
Another thing too is you need those big burly kids on the line too. I mean, if you don't have those
at any level,
and
really.
Baldwin is notorious for having
Pee-wee.
Like,
if you have
small,
big boy in the middle, like.
But even to that point, I feel like all high school athletics, like regardless of the discipline, you know, baseball, basketball, it really just relies on, you know, like the star person or like the main person's athleticism. Like, like
and how they are as a leader.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, not so much skill, because like I mean, like, even you're saying like, you know, for the QB, even if he was a nice QB, his receivers can't catch.
Lamar had to learn how to throw.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
won an MVP.
So it's
in
like
the NFL.
you got to be like that dual threat, like throwing. Okay, like I can throw if I need to, but like I got to be athletic enough to like run the ball, to take the hits.
And that's the way the game's going. It's going towards mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah,
because it's such a dual threat. You know what I mean? If you got a guy who can tuck and run, but then on the flip side of that, you know, it's a little bit of a liability because if they're running a lot more, they have a lot more chance of getting injured too.
Injured for
They have
sure.
a
And at
lot
the end
more
of the
chance.
day, if you're down, running ain't gonna bring you back. You gotta be able to throw it.
Right.
So
And a lot of them they ain't hone in on that.
Yep.
So ninth grade is like kind of like when like the football thing kind of like didn't really like, you know, materialize.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
Well, here I know how to enter this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
facts, yeah.
Allow me for this one
okay.
because your injury
Mm-hmm.
that is what derailed your football career.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Go into it. What was it like being an athlete injured? Because that's one thing I never experienced as an
Very good
athlete.
question,
Yeah, what's it like being an injured athlete?
It was tough. It was really tough. It's
Describe what you broke. Like what happened?
So I broke my arm. I broke my radius and my ulna
Jesus.
in the last football game of the season
Damn.
in ninth grade.
What happened?
Dude? I was running the ball. So I'm running the ball. I got a guy, you know, chasing me to my left, and I'm trying to stiff arm him, and he kind of like brings me down by my shoulder pad, and I kind of like use my arm to like stabilize myself on the turf, and then
Jesus.
there's just about 500
Yeah.
pounds of just force
Man.
straight down onto me at
Jeez.
that same just at the same moment it straightened and it just snapped.
Oh
man.
my God, yeah. That's
I
ugly.
felt it.
You felt that
Felt
shit?
it snap.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily painful. It's weird. It was painful, but it was more just like, oh wow, my bones just snapped. Like,
Word up.
I
like,
felt
what
felt my bones snap.
Word
right
up.
there.
That's man. That's
And,
crazy as fuck.
Now I'm laying there, and it's like you have so much adrenaline running through you. Your body's in shock that you don't feel like the pain of it.
Yeah.
Facts.
But you're just like so panicked because you're like, wow, like.
Is it
I
true the
never
next couple of
thought-
days that's where that pain be?
Oh yeah. And well, the pain, the worst pain was after whenever you get cut open. So what happened to me is they didn't cut me open the day I did it. They tried to just set my bone back in place
Jesus.
and put a cast around it. And I don't know when it happened, but my bones eventually weren't
Straightened
set
out.
anymore. So I was walking around in a cast with a broken arm for like a month,
Yeah.
not healing, like just excruciating
so,
pain
so,
every day.
So it wasn't even healing. Like
no,
it, was
wasn't
just,
healing.
That's
They were
crazy.
still broken.
Jeez.
Damn.
So we went back because I was like, this doesn't feel right. They told me
Facts.
about 2-3 month recovery. It's a month in and I'm
Shit
crying
got
every
worse.
day,
Yeah, word.
crying
Yeah.
every day because I
Jesus.
can't even get out of bed.
Oh my gosh.
So we went back and they were like, yeah, the bone's still in half. So they ended up cutting me
crazy.
open after that. And that's whenever the worst pain was whenever that nerve block wears off. They give you a nerve block so you don't feel